Okay, so I've actually begun the production of my actual game today. Well, yesterday. And I've made a working prototype of roughly what I want. Here you can see I've used some pre-made assets. I will replace these later on. These were just for testing purposes. This character here is just simply a white sprite. I'll show you here. Just made 3 different sprites, different colours. You'll see why I've done this later on. I've got a Cinemachine camera which follows this player and then stays within these barrels. One thing I do need to make on my next update is collider thingies on here, collider bars. So the player doesn't go above here and then the Cinemachine camera can't follow it, because then that'll just be silly. And I do have a random button here that I was going to use instead of the key code Q thing, which I now have, so I don't need that. And yeah, that's the player. It's got rigid body 2D on, basic platformer stuff. You can move left, right, you can press space to jump, and it's got a grounding layer. So this layer here is on a grid, and it's a tile map, and it's on the layer ground. This is how I got the grounding to work with the player, so they can't double jump or like fly off after pressing space a ton. So I've done that in one of these scripts. If it'll open. It will be in the other one. I didn't want to open 2. If it'll load. Okay, just want one open. That's the player input, so if I just explain these, this is just like basic movement. If input is jump, you jump. If input is jump equals, so if you don't have the jump button pressed down, which is space, it won't jump, and if you do, it will jump. That's simple stuff. And the other stuff we have character controller. If that will open, come on. I'll open it here. No, I don't want to open that. So here we have a jump force here, and movement, smooth movement here, and this is all to do with the moving float, and this one's to check if the player is grounded. So ground check precision, it will check the layer mask, so ground, as you realise back here, this thing was on layer ground, and this one's on layer ground. So if the player is jump and grounded, it add forces to rigid body. Then we have this change sprite script. This one was actually quite difficult to get working, even though it's a really simple function. If I just show you how it works in game, it's really simple how it works, but it was quite hard to get working since I ran into so many errors whilst making it. So you see here how we've got the change sprite script attached to the player. and we have sprite switcher with size 3, and then we got sprite 1, 2, 3, which were the sprites that we saw back here. Sprite 1, 2, and 3. Now, if in game, normal game, if I press Q, the Q button, it'll change it to sprite 2. And if I press Q again, it'll change it to sprite 3. And if I press it again, it'll change it to sprite 1. So I done this because I had the idea of party members in a game, so I wanted a game where I can have the player switch between 3 different characters to solve different types of puzzles. So for example, my cast of characters, I've already made them. We've got a so they're based off of flowers, so I can't pronounce this one properly. There's Syrinum Makawani, which is a medical plant, so I was thinking that character could be a healer. And then we've got the Indian paintbrush, which is just a normal outrageous red plant thing. They're going to be a warrior. And then we've got the sand lily, which I thought it was called the star lily, and I based the character around the star. Then I realised it was actually called sand lily, but I kept the concept anyway. And that one's as well a warrior. So that's where I got all the party member stuff from. And I'm not going to put too detailed sprites or anything in this game, since I want to focus more on the UI, since that's what I'm focusing on my final project. And you notice here how when I'm on the ground, I press space once. I can jump normally once, but if I press space twice, listen to my key presses, it won't let me because I have that grounding function in my script. What else do I have? So another thing I have managed to do is, you remember my last video with the dialogue boxes? I've got that implemented into this save file. I haven't got it on any of the actual game yet, but I have so here, cutscene, it's called cutscene. It's exactly the same as it was before, where you basically just press the start button, there's test, tralala, this is another test and it goes away. And then we have the main menu, start options, back quit. I will obviously make this look better. It works, you go into the game, when you press the start button, you go into the options, when you go to options, you go in about and quit. So when I start it, it goes into the cutscene. So, obviously with games, you have a beginning intro cutscene, so this is where I got the idea from. What I was going to do is, you press start and then the intro text appears, going through the events of the game basically, and it'll go through that, and then after it's done, it'll go to level 1. So that is really just a basic prototype of how my game works. I got the start screen working by attaching if I get it up, not that one, it's that one. So I've got a button manager, which tells us what scenes to load. So this one has a string which tells us to load cutscene 1, which is in the scenes folder over here. No, over here. So we've got cutscene 01 here, level 1 here, and main menu here. And yeah, that basically tells it to load so and so. And it does that. This is a sound manager script which I got from previous game I made. I'm going to obviously modify it. And we have... That's pretty much everything. So yeah. See ya.